every skill you want to learn has fundamentals that matters more than everything else. Most people do the opposite. They avoid all the boring basics and obsess over the advanced details that barely matters. For example, if you want to build muscles, the 20% that actually matters is progressive overload. Your protein intake, your sleep, your consistency, and the 80% that doesn't matter, and you might be focusing on more than the 20%, is the perfect equipment, the perfect pre-workout, the perfect gym outfit. Yes, those 80% matter to a certain extent, but you shouldn't fixate on that. You should find the 20% that's actually the foundation, the basics that matter the most. The basics are not basics because they're easy. They are basics because everything else depends on them. And that's why most people fall at learning. They want the most advanced information first before mastering the foundation. They want the secret trick, the hidden shortcut, the one thing that nobody knows. But the basics is what holds up everything. You need to start with the foundation in order to build everything on top of it. It's like that scene in Karate Kid where he has a jacket. He's hanging it up, dropping it back down, hanging it up, dropping it back down, and eventually he gets frustrated because he's like, what am I doing? I'm doing this basic skill over again. But then when the master shows him what it matters, he does that move and he actually defends himself. Point number 4, stop watching and start failing. And that sounds backward because you clicked on this video to learn faster, not to fail fast. But here's the thing, when you constantly consuming content to learn, YouTube videos, podcasts, and that's all what you're doing, you're just watching, but you're not taking action. Then you remain stagnant. You consume this information, but you never truly apply it. So you don't learn from your personal experience. And because you don't apply it, you forget it. However, no one ever starts something for the first time and does it perfectly. They start, they fail, they learn from it, and they get better at it over time. So when I say stop watching and start failing, what I mean is stop watching, start applying, because once you start applying, you will start failing. But that's a good sign. It means you are on the right track. You're learning the information, you're applying it. You're failing. You're learning from your failures and you are applying it to get even better. If two guys were about to fight together, one guy was watching tens of hours of boxing videos and the other was simply training boxing. Who will win? Yes, there's one consuming so much information on boxing, but he's never applying it. So as soon as they get in the ring together, all through the second guy never watched any boxing content, but he was constantly training boxing. He's going to win because he was actually applying, he was learning, he was failing, but he was training. He was learning how to box physically. It's the same with content creation. You don't become a great content creator by only watching YouTube's podcasts, topics on how to make a video. You become a good content creator by making content. You make a piece of content, you post it, it flops. Look at the analytics, the retention time, the click-through rate, how the hook performed, the thumbnail you use. You learn from your mistakes. You reapply that for your next video. So now this one is slightly better than the first video. And now you can keep doing that. The next video will be even better. The next video will be even better. And that process simply continue to grow. Because you're applying, you're failing, you're learning, and you're reapplying. That's an issue a lot of people have. People are addicted to preparing. They don't want to start anything, but they spend too much time preparing, planning, writing. Like, okay, great, you have a plan, but it doesn't mean anything unless you execute on it. And that's usually a copying mechanism, because once you actually apply, you're beating the bullet. You're doing it. It's the hardest part, the preparation, the thought process, the imagination of what you want to do. That's easy, and oftentimes it gives you that sense of fulfillment. Simply by watching other people do it, maybe learning something from them, but then not doing it yourself. At some point, learning becomes an excuse to avoid doing. The actual learning cycle is simple. You try, you fail, you review, you adjust, and you repeat. And most people never enter that cycle because They're too busy preparing.